The next 3 months were the happiest and most complicated of Amara's life. At work, she and Dorian maintained perfect professional distance. They addressed each other formally in meetings. They communicated through official channels. They never let their eyes linger too long or their smiles get too warm. It was torture, but it was also necessary. Amara's projects were gaining recognition throughout the company. Her revised parental leave policy had been implemented to rave reviews. She'd launched a mentorship program that was already showing results. She'd mediated a complex dispute between two departments that everyone had said was impossible to resolve. She was building her reputation on her own merit, one success at a time. And in private, in the stolen moments and secret dates and late-night phone calls, she and Dorian were building something beautiful. He took her to quiet restaurants in neighboring cities where no one would recognize them. They spent weekends at his penthouse, cooking together, reading to each other, learning the rhythms of each other's bodies and souls. He was sweet in ways that constantly surprised her. Would text her random things that reminded him of her. A quote from a book, a photo of a sunset, a terrible dad joke that would make her laugh in the middle of meetings, and he was romantic in ways that destroyed her defenses completely. One Saturday morning, she woke up in his bed, something that had become a regular occurrence, though she always went home before Monday, to find him already awake, propped up on one elbow, just watching her. "That's creepy," she mumbled, still half asleep. "You drool when you sleep," he said, voice warm with affection. "It's adorable. You're supposed to pretend not to notice these things." "Why would I pretend?" He leaned down to kiss her forehead. "I love these things. I love that you steal all the blankets. I love that you talk in your sleep. I love that you refuse to get up until you've had coffee, but you also refuse to drink coffee until you've been awake for at least 20 minutes. That's not romantic, that's just annoying. It's perfectly you," he said, which makes it perfect. She pulled him down for a proper kiss. Morning breath be damned. "How are you real?" "I ask myself that about you every day." Later, over breakfast, which he made, perfectly fluffy pancakes because of course he was good at everything, he got quiet. "What?" Amara asked. "I want to tell people about us." Her heart stopped. "Dorian? I know what we agreed and I understand why. But Amara, it's been 3 months. You've proven yourself 10 times over. Everyone knows you're excellent at your job. And I'm tired of pretending you don't mean everything to me." She set down her fork. "If we tell people now, there will still be whispers. People will still say I slept my way into my position." "Let them," Dorian said fiercely. "Anyone who thinks that doesn't know you, doesn't know that you rebuilt parental leave policy in 6 weeks, that you resolved the marketing and sales conflict that had been going on for 2 years, that you're being considered for chief people officer when Patricia retires next year." "Wait, what?" He smiled slightly. "That was supposed to stay confidential, but yes. Patricia is recommending you as her successor. You're 28 years old, and you're about to be offered a C-suite position. CPO Chief People Officer. The role she'd dreamed about but never thought she'd reach until her 40s. "I need to think about it," she said. "The timing, how we announce it, what it means for both of us." "Take all the time you need," Dorian said. "I'm not going anywhere." The decision was taken out of their hands 2 weeks later. Amara was having lunch with Patricia and Jennifer Chen, discussing the CPO transition timeline. Apparently, Patricia wanted to retire within 6 months, which meant Amara needed to start shadowing her immediately, when Patricia's assistant interrupted. "Dr. Morrison, I'm sorry, but there's a situation. Someone posted photos on a company gossip forum." Patricia's expression went cold. "Photos of what?" "Of Mr. St. James and Director Johnson. Together, outside of work." Amara's blood turned to ice. Patricia dismissed her assistant and turned to Amara. "Is it true? Are you in a relationship with Dorian?" There was no judgment in her voice, just concern. Amara could lie, could deny it, protect herself, protect him. But she was tired of hiding. Tired of pretending that the best thing in her life didn't exist. "Yes," she said firmly. "We've been together for 3 months. It started after I was hired. He did not influence my hiring in any way. I didn't even know who he was when I interviewed. And everything I've accomplished here has been based on my work, not our relationship." Patricia studied her for a long moment, then, "I believe you. Your work speaks for itself. But we have a problem. If these photos are public, we need to get ahead of this before it becomes a scandal. What do you recommend?" "Transparency, a clear timeline of events. Documentation that your hiring and your projects were all merit-based. Patricia pulled out her phone. I'm calling Dorian. We need to coordinate our response. 30 minutes later, Amara, Dorian, Patricia, and the head of corporate communications were in a conference room, managing what was rapidly becoming a crisis. The photos weren't scandalous, just Dorian and Amara having dinner at a restaurant, his hand covering hers on the table, both of them laughing. Innocent, sweet, but in the court of corporate opinion, they were damning. We need to make a statement, the communications director said. Acknowledge the relationship, establish the timeline, reaffirm that Ms. Johnson's position is merit-based. And I'll provide a statement as well, Patricia added, detailing every accomplishment Amara has achieved, every project she's led, every way she's exceeded expectations. I'll make it clear that her performance review has been stellar, and that her upcoming promotion has nothing to do with who she's dating. Upcoming promotion, the communications director asked. I'm recommending Amara as my successor for CPO, Patricia said. A decision I made based on her work, and one that the board will need to approve regardless of her personal life. Amara felt like she might be sick. This was everything she'd feared. Her relationship overshadowing her accomplishments, her personal life becoming office gossip, people questioning whether she deserved her position. Dorian's hand found hers under the table, squeezing gently. This is my fault, he said to the room. I should have been more careful, should have protected her better. No, Amara said firmly. She turned to face him. This is not your fault. We're two adults who fell in love. We didn't do anything wrong. We kept things professional at work. We built a relationship on our own time. And I won't apologize for that. She turned back to the others. Issue whatever statement you need to. I stand by my work, I stand by my qualifications, and I stand by this relationship. If the board has concerns about my promotion, I'm happy to address them directly. Patricia smiled, proud, warm. That's exactly the response I was hoping for. The statement went out that afternoon. Titan Holdings acknowledges that CEO Dorian James and HR Director Amara Johnson are in a personal relationship. This relationship began after Ms. Johnson's hiring process was complete. Ms. Johnson was selected for her position based solely on her qualifications, experience, and performance during the interview process, which involved multiple panelists and a comprehensive evaluation. Since joining Titan Holdings, Ms. Johnson has consistently exceeded expectations and has been recommended for promotion based on merit. The company maintains strict policies regarding conflicts of interest, and both parties have adhered to these policies. We support healthy work-life balance and believe that personal relationships between employees at any level should not impact professional performance or opportunities, the response was mixed. Some people were supportive, many were skeptical, a few were outright hostile, calling Amara opportunistic, calling Dorian unprofessional, suggesting that the relationship was inappropriate regardless of timing. Amara read the comments once, then closed her laptop and refused to look again. That evening, Dorian showed up at her apartment with takeout and wine and determination. How are you? He asked as soon as she let him in. I've been better, she admitted. I've also been worse. I'm just processing. He set down the food and pulled her into his arms. She melted against him, letting herself take comfort in his solid presence. I'm sorry, he murmured into her hair. I know you wanted to control the narrative. I know this wasn't how you wanted people to find out. It's not your fault. She pulled back to look at him. And honestly, part of me is relieved. I'm tired of hiding. Tired of pretending that when I smile at work, it's not because I'm remembering something stupid you texted me. Tired of acting like you're just my boss when you're so much more than that. What am I? He asked softly. You're the person I want to tell about my day. The person whose opinion I value more than anyone else's. The person who makes me believe I can be both professionally successful and personally happy. She stopped, the words catching in her throat. I'm what? He prompted gently. You're the person I'm in love with, she said. Completely, terrifyingly, irreversibly in love with. His eyes went bright, emotional. Say it again. I'm in love with you, Dorian James. He kissed her, deep and thorough and full of everything he felt. When he pulled back, he was smiling. I love you too, Amara Johnson, so much that it actually scares me sometimes. So much that I'd burn down everything I built if it meant keeping you safe. So much that I genuinely don't care what anyone says as long as I get to keep you. She laughed, crying, kissing him again. That's really intense. You make me intense. What happens now? Amara asked. Now we keep doing what we've been doing. You keep being brilliant at your job. I keep running the company, and we get to do it without hiding. And the CPO position? You interview with the board. You present your vision. You earn it the same way you've earned everything else, through sheer excellence. She rested her head on his shoulder. And if people still talk, then they talk. But Amara, your work speaks louder than any gossip ever could. You've transformed that department in 3 months. You've created programs that are already being studied by other companies. You're changing corporate culture one policy at a time. That's what people will remember, not who you're dating. When did you become so wise? When I fell in love with a woman who refuses to be anything less than extraordinary, he said. She raised my standards for everything. The board meeting was scheduled for 3 weeks later. 3 weeks of Amara preparing the most comprehensive presentation of her life. 3 weeks of late nights and early mornings and stress dreams about showing up to the boardroom in her pajamas. Dorian helped where he could, running through her presentation, asking tough questions, reminding her to eat and sleep and breathe. Patricia coached her through the politics, who the board members were, what they cared about, how to address concerns before they were raised. And Simone kept her sane, showing up with wine and reality checks and reminders that she was Amara Johnson, and she didn't back down from anything. The morning of the meeting, Amara woke up at 5 a.m. in Dorian's bed. They'd stopped pretending she didn't spend most nights there. She found him already awake, standing by the window, looking out at the city. Can't sleep either? She asked. He turned, smiling softly. Nervous for you. I'm nervous for me too. He crossed to her, pulling her into his arms. You're going to be amazing. They're going to see what I see. Someone brilliant, driven, innovative, and exactly what this company needs. And if they don't, then they're fools, but they won't be. Trust me. She got dressed in her power suit, a tailored burgundy ensemble that made her feel like she could conquer worlds. Dorian kissed her goodbye at the door, his lips lingering on hers. Remember, he said, you've already proven yourself. This is just making it official. The boardroom was exactly as intimidating as she'd imagined. 12 people sat around a massive table. Some she recognized from company events, others she'd only seen in photos. Patricia sat at one end, Dorian at the other, both carefully neutral. Amara stood at the front of the room, her presentation loaded, her notes ready, her heart hammering. Members of the board, she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm here today to present my vision for the Chief People Officer role and to demonstrate why I'm the right person to lead our people strategy going forward. For the next 45 minutes, she walked them through everything. Her analysis of current HR metrics and areas for improvement. Her vision for expanding employee development programs. Her plans for enhancing diversity and inclusion initiatives. Her strategy for improving retention and building a culture where people didn't just work, but thrived. She showed them data, quantifiable results from the programs she'd already implemented. She showed them testimonials from employees whose lives had been changed by her policies. She showed them projections for what the company could achieve with the right people strategy. And she addressed the elephant in the room head-on. I'm aware that some of you may have concerns about my relationship with Mr. Dorian James, she said, meeting each board member's eyes in turn. So let me be clear. I earned my current position before this relationship began. Every project I've led, every policy I've implemented, every success I've achieved has been based on merit. My work is documented, my results are measurable, and my qualifications speak for themselves. She pulled up a slide showing her performance reviews, project outcomes, and employee satisfaction scores. These numbers don't lie, and they were achieved without preferential treatment or special access. They were achieved through hard work, strategic thinking, and a genuine commitment to making this company better for everyone who works here. One board member, a stern woman in her 60s named Margaret Chen, spoke up. Ms. Johnson, how can we be certain that your promotion wouldn't be influenced by your personal relationship? Because I won't accept it if it is, Amara said firmly. I want this position more than I can express, but I only want it if I've earned it. If this board believes I'm the right person for this role based on my qualifications and my vision, then I'm honored. If there's any doubt, if anyone in this room thinks I'm here because of who I'm dating rather than what I've accomplished, then I'll withdraw my candidacy. The room went silent. Margaret studied her for a long moment. Then, That's the kind of integrity this position requires. Thank you for your candor. Finally, the board chair, a distinguished man named Robert Morrison, spoke. Thank you, Miss Johnson. We'll deliberate and let you know our decision within the week. As she gathered her materials, Patricia caught her eye and gave a small nod. Pride, approval. Dorian's expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes were full of everything he couldn't say in this room. The wait was excruciating. 3 days of checking her phone constantly, jumping every time it rang, analyzing every board member's expression in the hallways. On the 4th day, Robert Morrison's assistant called. Ms. Johnson, Mr. Morrison would like to see you in his office. Amara's heart hammered as she made her way to the executive floor. This was it. The moment that would define the next chapter of her career. Robert's office was even more impressive than Dorian's. Old money, old power, with photos of him with presidents and world leaders covering the walls. Amara, he said, standing to greet her, please sit. She sat, trying to read his expression and failing. I've been on this board for 30 years, Robert said. I've seen a lot of candidates for executive positions. Many were qualified, some were exceptional, but very few had what you have. Her breath caught. Which is? Vision combined with execution, idealism tempered by pragmatism, the ability to see what needs to change and the skill to actually change it. He smiled. The board voted unanimously. We'd like to offer you the position of Chief People Officer, effective immediately following a transition period with Dr. Morrison. Tears sprang to Amara's eyes before she could stop them. I thank you. Thank you so much. You earned it, Robert said kindly. And for what it's worth, your relationship with Dorian was discussed, but it wasn't a factor in our decision. Your work was. The board believes you're exactly what this company needs, and we're honored to have you in leadership. She practically floated out of his office. Patricia was waiting outside, smiling. I told you. I can't believe it. Believe it. You're officially my successor. And Amara, I couldn't be prouder of the leader you've become. They hugged, both crying, both celebrating. And then Amara did something she'd been dying to do for weeks. She went straight to Dorian's office. His assistant looked up, surprised. Ms. Johnson, is he free? He's on a call, but... Amara knocked and walked in anyway. Dorian was indeed on a video call, laptop open, looking professional and CEO-like. His eyes widened when he saw her. Gentlemen, he said smoothly to whoever was on the other end. Something urgent has come up. We'll resume this tomorrow. He closed the laptop and stood. Amara, I got it, she said, her voice breaking. I got it, Dorian. They offered me the position. His face transformed, from professional neutrality to pure joy. He crossed to her in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms, lifting her off the ground and spinning her. Of course you got it, he said, setting her down but keeping her close. Of course you did. You were incredible. You are incredible. They said it was unanimous, because you're the best person for the job. He cupped her face, thumbs brushing away her tears. I'm so proud of you. So incredibly proud. I couldn't have done this without you. Yes, you could have, he said firmly. You would have done this with or without me. I just got to watch it happen. And Amara, that's been the greatest privilege of my life. She kissed him then, not caring that they were in his office, not caring who might see. This was her moment, their moment, and she wasn't going to hide it. When they broke apart, both laughing and crying, Dorian rested his forehead against hers. My chaos queen, he murmured. My brilliant, unstoppable chaos queen. Your what? Did I say that out loud? You called me your chaos queen. He grinned, unrepentant. Well, you are. You walked into my life causing chaos, and you've been wreaking beautiful havoc on my heart ever since. That's the cheesiest thing you've ever said. I have cheesier. God help me. I love you, he said, all the humor dropping away, leaving only raw honesty. I love you so much, Amara, and I'm so glad I get to love you out loud now. I love you too, she whispered. Even when you're being cheesy. Especially when I'm being cheesy, he corrected. Especially then, she agreed. News of Amara's promotion spread through the company quickly. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Her team threw her a surprise celebration, other departments sent congratulatory emails. Even people she'd only met once stopped her in hallways to express genuine excitement. There were still whispers, of course. Still people who thought the promotion was suspicious timing. Still anonymous comments on company forums suggesting nepotism. But they were drowned out by evidence, by results, by the undeniable fact that Amara Johnson had transformed the HR department and earned her position through sheer excellence. 2 months into her new role as CPO, Amara was working late in her new office, bigger, better view, still filled with plants, when security called. "Ms. Johnson? There's someone here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's important." "Who is it?" A pause. "He says his name is Kelvin." Amara's blood went cold, then hot, then cold again. After the parking garage incident, Dorian had followed through on every threat. Kelvin had a restraining order. He'd been blacklisted from every company in their network. He'd essentially been run out of the industry. She hadn't heard from him in months. "Tell him I'm not available," Amara said firmly. "He says he just wants 5 minutes. Says he needs to apologize." Amara thought about it. Part of her wanted nothing to do with him, wanted to maintain the boundary, protect her peace, let him remain exactly what he was, irrelevant. But another part of her, the part that had grown stronger and braver and more confident in the past 6 months, wanted to face him. Wanted him to see what he'd tried to destroy thriving beyond his wildest imagination. "Send him up," she said, "but have security wait right outside my office." 5 minutes later, Kelvin stood in her doorway. He looked, diminished, smaller somehow, like failure had physically shrunk him. Dark circles under his eyes, cheap suit, the kind of desperate energy that came from hitting rock bottom. "Amara," he said, and his voice cracked on her name. She didn't stand, didn't smile. Just looked at him with the cool professionalism of someone who had no emotional investment in his existence. "You have 5 minutes." He stepped inside, and she could see him taking in her office. The size, the view, the chief people officer nameplate on her desk. "You really did it," he said quietly. "Did what?" "Everything you said you would. Everything I tried to stop you from doing." He swallowed hard. "I'm sorry, Amara. For all of it. For getting you fired. For harassing you. For trying to make you small because I was too weak to handle your strength." Amara studied him, feeling nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no vindication. Just a distant sort of pity for someone who'd let his own insecurity destroy any chance at happiness. "Why are you here, Kelvin? What do you want from me?" "Nothing," he said quickly. "I don't want anything. I needed you to know that I know I was wrong. That you deserved better. That everything that happened to me after was my own fault. And you think telling me this accomplishes what exactly?" He flinched. "I don't know. Work on yourself. Get therapy. Learn to celebrate other people's success instead of feeling threatened by it. But don't come here looking for absolution from me. I'm not interested in absolving you." "I understand." "Do you?" She leaned forward slightly. "Because, Kelvin, you didn't just try to destroy my career. You tried to destroy my confidence, my sense of self-worth, my belief that I could be successful without being punished for it. And you almost succeeded. I'm so sorry. I'm not finished." Her voice was steel. "You almost succeeded, but you didn't. Because I'm stronger than your insecurity. I'm more resilient than your sabotage. I'm more capable than your limited imagination ever allowed you to believe." She stood now, moving around her desk to stand in front of him. "I'm the chief people officer of one of the most successful companies in the country. I'm 28 years old, and I'm changing corporate culture. I'm in a relationship with a man who celebrates my success instead of feeling threatened by it. I'm happy, Kelvin, genuinely, completely happy, and you played no part in that." Tears were streaming down his face now. "I know. So here's what's going to happen," Amara continued. "You're going to leave. You're going to respect the restraining order. You're going to never contact me again. And you're going to live with the knowledge that the woman you tried to keep down is soaring, and you'll never know any more about it than what you can see from the ground." "Amara, goodbye, Kelvin." Security appeared in her doorway. They must have been listening, waiting for her signal. "Gentlemen, Mr. Williams is leaving. Please ensure he exits the building." As they escorted him out, Kelvin looked back once. "For what it's worth, he's lucky, whoever ended up with you." "No," Amara said softly. "I'm lucky, because I ended up with someone who deserves me." After he was gone, Amara sat at her desk, hands shaking slightly but heart steady. Her phone buzzed, a text from Dorian. "Heard you had a visitor. You okay?" She smiled. Of course he knew. Of course, he'd been monitoring the situation without interfering. She typed back, "More than okay. I'm extraordinary. Also, I love you." His response was immediate. "I love you too, my chaos queen. Dinner at our place tonight? I'll cook. Our place? Well, I've been thinking, you spend every night here anyway. Your plants have basically moved in. Basquiat has claimed my entire office. Might as well make it official." Amara's heart stopped. "Dorian James, are you asking me to move in with you?" "I'm asking if you'd like to come home tonight and every night after. What do you say?" She looked around her office, at the career she'd built, the position she'd earned, the life she'd created entirely on her own terms. And then she thought about going home to Dorian, to laughter and terrible dad jokes and breakfast in bed, and someone who loved every loud, brilliant, chaotic part of her. She typed, "I say yes, I'll bring wine, you're perfect. See you soon." Amara gathered her things, said goodbye to security, and walked out of the building with her head held high. The same building where she'd once stood practicing revenge speeches in a car window. The same building where she'd accidentally fallen in love with a man who'd been falling right back. The same building where she'd proven to everyone, but mostly to herself, that she was unstoppable. As she waited for Dorian's car to pick her up, she thought about the woman she'd been 6 months ago. Heartbroken, fired, angry. That woman had been scared to need anyone, had built walls so high that nothing could hurt her, but nothing could reach her either. This woman, the woman she'd become, knew that strength wasn't about being alone. It was about being brave enough to let someone in, to build something together without losing yourself, to be vulnerable without being weak. Marcus pulled up, and as Amara slid into the car, she found Dorian already inside, waiting for her with that soft smile that he saved just for her. "Hi," he said. "Hi yourself." He pulled her close, kissing her temple. "How do you feel?" "Free," she said honestly. "I feel free." "Good." He squeezed her hand. "Also, I should warn you, I may have bought out an entire flower shop today. The penthouse looks like a garden exploded." "Why?" "Because you're moving in." "That deserves flowers, possibly all the flowers," she laughed, that full-body laugh that he loved. "You're ridiculous." "I'm in love," he corrected. "There's a difference." "Is there?" "Absolutely. Ridiculous is buying 1 bouquet. In love is buying 17. 17? I counted. She shook her head, smiling so hard her cheeks hurt. "What am I going to do with you?" "Love me," he suggested. "Continue being extraordinary? Let me worship the ground you walk on while you change the world." That last part wasn't part of the deal. I'm adding it to the deal. You can't just add things to deals. I'm a CEO. I can do whatever I want. Not with me, you can't. He grinned. "No, not with you. With you, I'm completely at your mercy, and I wouldn't have it any other way." As they drove through the city, toward home, toward their life together, toward whatever came next, Amara thought about something her mother had told her once. "Baby girl," she'd said, "the right person won't make you choose between your dreams and your heart. The right person will help you build both." Amara had thought she'd have to choose. Career or love, success or partnership, standing tall or standing together. But Dorian had taught her something better. She could have both. She could be chief people officer and someone's chaos queen. She could change corporate culture and come home to someone who made her laugh. She could be strong and soft, independent and partnered, professionally fierce and personally cherished. She could be everything, and she was. If you've made it this far, if you've laughed and cried and felt every moment of Amara and Dorian's journey, thank you. Thank you for believing in love. Thank you for celebrating women who refuse to shrink. Thank you for understanding that the best romances aren't about rescue. They're about partnership. If this story touched your heart, moved your soul, or made you believe in love again, you know what to do. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories that celebrate love, professional excellence, and the beautiful chaos of building a life with someone who sees you. And remember, you're not too much. You're not too ambitious. You're not too loud. You're exactly enough. And the right person will love you not despite your bigness, but because of it. Until next time, keep being extraordinary.